rather than calling it job rotation, I would say maybe role play. Because years ago, I did a consulting for this university, and we went part of a team. And this university, the faculty had problem with administration, students had problem with faculty. It was a big mess of misunderstanding. And I just saw something as somewhere else as role play. And we went back and said, okay, it's good, because the students, you maybe never understand us. Like this semester, I have a student working with me as independent study. And he had class with me last semester. Now he's working. He says, Dr. Joy, I never thought teaching was this hard. I just never knew how much you have to put. Sometimes you don't understand, because we're not in the other person's shoe. So I think to develop people is extremely important to role play. Like what we did to this university, we went back and said, it's good for a student 1 week to be a faculty. For president of university, become a faculty or become a student so we can see perspective of others. If you see perspective of others, you say, hey, it's not so easy to be a student, You have to do, so we have to be a little bit more understanding. You have to juggle all these things, taking 5 classes, you have children, time has changed, people are more busy. And for a student, have a better understanding that our faculty, our job is not as easy as you think, that we are here to torture you or trying to make your life difficult. No, then our same thing, right now we have budget crisis in California, and faculty says, oh, administration is not doing their job. So it's always this issue of not understanding the others till you put yourself in their shoes. So I would say rather than job rotation, I would say role play, understanding. Then there are courses and seminars, team assignment is good for all of us to understand and read. Besides courses and seminars, I would say reading. Besides that, because you don't have to always go you don't have resources to go to courses or seminars. And team assignment always helps, because I'm not asking you to do, because when you work in a team, you see different. Then finally, some advice for leaders is basically talks about using SWOT analysis, organizing to learning, and secure early wins, get some wins in first 6 months. But mainly beside this, my contribution also would be that understand, be humble, and there was one book I told you that all leaders should read this. It's called Leadership is an Art by Dupree. It's a small book, but I think all managers have to read this book because it talks about leadership as being a servant leadership. People that comes in, type of leadership style that they have, that they are authoritative. They expect you to do it, and they're forceful. So leadership, if you find that balance, that others won't take advantage of you, they say, okay, this is too much of a nice guy. You have to find that balance. But you have to motivate others without them losing respect for you and without them not taking you seriously. So I think you have to find that balance, and you should start from self. I think leadership, if you manage yourself, if you care, and be ready to say, oh, I made a mistake. You all do. I'm sorry, nobody has answered to all the questions. So be ready to say, okay, I'm sorry, just most managers, most people are really afraid, or they think, they never make mistake. No, it's not my mistake. So, and there are some guidelines for superior leadership. Integrity, I think I definitely agree with that. Be knowledgeable, showing some uncommon commitment. Get out in front? What does that mean? Always put yourself front before. Expect positive results, take care of people, put duty before self-interest. And in conclusion, everything. It says managers should pay attention to making decisions, communicating, selecting, and developing people. So there were 5 major topics we talked today was decision-making, communication, motivation, selection, and development. And what is your input? We've got a few minutes before we wrap up the lecture for today. What is your input? What is your contribution? What do you think managers should have besides these skills? What makes you? I give an assignment in 608B is because this class is supposed to prepare you for next classes. What it takes to be an effective manager, and what do you have? Do you have the skills to be an effective manager? What are other things from today's lecture I'd like to hear?
There are some points like power distance index, which we did in the 602B. Then there's one more thing of you already talked about it, is it's the culture of the employees working under the manager. So he or she should take care about the power distance index and then convey his or her message accordingly. Also, depending on the collectivist or individualist culture, he should look at the person who's coming from different background, because these days the workplace is really it's called people from all over the world. So he should take care about the people or the people working under him, or about their cultures, and then convey the messages accordingly.
Yes.
I think as a leader, you should always seek a win-win solution to any of the problems you have, and if you do that, then you can have the great balance between the concerns for the tasks and the people you're working with.
Most important thing is to do the right thing. Like we talked about that example. The president of a company is not doing the right thing. He's just forcing everyone to complete the task. Even if you go for selecting the people, the first major thing is to understand that person, whether that fits for the job or not. There is not a hurry to fill this space. So most important thing is to understand what is right and what is wrong, and go in that way.
Most important thing is effective communication between your team.
Now what can you add to this? And here the author talked about these 5. What else I think is also very important in managerial leading? What else, Remember we talked about self-management, self-understanding, you have to start. I think one big problem most managers have, they have not done a complete analysis of self-evaluation. So you always ask one assignment, I'll give you. Class is self-management. Remember assignment, self-understanding, self-awareness. You have to get to know yourself first before you can lead others. You have to lead yourself first before you can lead others. If you cannot lead your own affair, if you don't understand yourself, it's going to be very hard to lead others. So on that note, we wrap up the lecture for today. Any questions?
What's the softest skill is, man?
So, soft skills are skills, that's personality type. It's not like hard skill is you have good writing skill, that you're a good writer. Soft skills are, the more type of skill that is got to do with personality type of skills, rather than hard skill of maybe writing or knowing the techniques. If you know some of those techniques, those are hard techniques. Hard skill. Any other questions before we wrap up the lecture?